What's up? What's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, and welcome into MVP Sports Live here on twitch.tv/MVP vids. I am joined, as I always am, with my beautiful co-host, Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
I gave a weird, before I pointed, a weird, head twitch to the side where it's like, man, I just, moved my head quicker than I should have.
It snapped the neck a little?
Yeah, it rattled the brain a little bit, but welcome. It's a Friday show here on the podcast. Another week is in the books, and we got a jam-packed show for you. If you're new, this is where we talk about everything going on in the sports world. Before we get into everything, though, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Get it out of the way. It's not that long today. Number one, join the Discord. Super Hippo, one of our longtime fans, has joined the Discord. Welcome.
I was happy to see a familiar name.
If you want to join the Discord and talk to everyone in the MVP family, go ahead, and that link is down below on YouTube. Discord, !Discord puts that link into Twitch chat for you. Also, patreon.com/MVP vids is how you help support the channel. You can get content early, interact with the live shows. You can interact with us in general. And then also thank you to our Patreon sponsors, Pat Hill and Philly Sean. And last but not least, we do the show on Twitch every Monday through Friday. Twitch.tv/MVP vids, but you can also catch it on YouTube at MVP Sports. But Dave, let's get into everything we're talking about today. It's mainly basketball and football, and
that's okay.
I'll say today was a weird day. Today was a weird day news-wise because there wasn't a lot of it. Today was a slower news day it came to the sports world.
I think we're sub 1 week till the start of football.
Yep. Well, yesterday we're after 1 week. Next Thursday, the 10th, is the first game.
It's exciting. People are hitting crunch time. We're going to get a lot of football news coming out in the next week. Lots of good stuff coming. After this, if you guys are looking for more content, I'm going to just say JJ Redick podcast because great interview with Mark Cuban. Lots of fun stuff. If you don't like the political shit, you can skip the first 25 minutes or so. But they talk about, Luka, elite talent, how to spot them, how to like them, how to figure out how to work things. It's a very interesting show. So after you're done watching it.
And it's funny that you bring up the JJ Redick podcast because our first topic, our first kind of thing we're going to talk about comes from the JJ Redick podcast, where D'Angelo Russell was on Thursday's edition of JJ's Old Man and the Three podcast. Yeah. And they asked him about the number one pick and basically if the Timberwolves drafted LaMelo Ball, what would D'Angelo think of that? This was the quote D'Angelo gave. He said, "I wouldn't mind it, honestly, if that's what it was and that's what they see in the future. Man, I've been in so many situations, I'd attack it like any other." And then Redick kind of responded with, "It seems like it would be a very similar situation to your last year in Brooklyn with Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie, you've got multiple ball handlers, multiple guys attacking off the dribble. It'll be interesting seeing what you guys do with the pick." So with this, of course, D'Angelo Russell isn't giving any insight into the pick here. He's just, hey, I was presented a question. But, Dave, should LaMelo Ball realistically be on the Timberwolves draft board for the number one pick? Because when I look at mock drafts, it seems like everyone's going, LaMelo Ball, number one prospect, not the number one pick.
Yeah, and that's where the disconnect always is going to be is, does your big board look like the team's big board? Do your notions of, hey, this draft prospect looks like the number one prospect because this is the way he's going to work on our team? I think in a bubble, in a vacuum, I think in a vacuum is the right term. Yeah. In a vacuum, I think LaMelo Ball is the best prospect in this class. And I wonder if he would be the best prospect in the class if he went to the Timberwolves. I truly don't believe in Anthony Edwards being a star at the next level, but in their minds, they might be like, hey, having D'Lo and Cat out there, that's going to take him to a new level. That's going to allow him to be his best himself. Our coaching staff, our trainers, our player development team, that's our number one on our big board. regardless of fit, which it just so happens that fit, slides him in a position where they might have some room for improvement because Jarrett Culver's disappointing rookie year.
Well, and I mean, the T-Wolves are in a situation where it's going to be interesting to see what they do this offseason because their contracts that they have they've got 2 restricted free agents, Malik Beasley and Juan Hernan Gomez.
Moncho.
And then their only UFA is Evan Turner. So, like, Evan Turner's off to the side for me. He could be one that comes back, doesn't matter to me. The big one to me is the 2 RFAs for how much money is either Juancho or Malik Beasley. Maybe Malik Beasley is the one that you focus on more because the starting 5, if Beasley comes back, is D'Lo at the 1, Beasley at the 2. Last year they played a Kogi mostly at the 3. And then they had basically Hernan Gomez and Cat rounding out the 4 and the 5. So, like, even if Hernan Gomez doesn't come back, they have an opening then at the 4 or 5, depending on where you're going to slide Cat, depending on what you get.
Offense versus defense coverage, yep.
And one of the things I feel like this is what the T-Wolves need to kind of decide is rim protection going to be a top priority for them? Because when you look at their team, Beasley, D'Lo, Cat, like most of their players, most of their starters are in like, I think the top 10 in opponent points in the paint. Like this is a team that does not have great rim protection. And like, that's why a part of me is like, if they're questioning Edwards or they question Ball, could there be a surprise pick? Could there be a James Wiseman at 1? Could there be, many people are saying Big O is number 2 on big boards. Could he be a surprise at number 1? Like, how important should rim protection be? Because really that's the one big thing this team is missing. They already have 2 main scorers. Beasley could be round out that 3. It's like, do you need somebody that's going to be a scorer with Cat and D'Lo? Or do you want somebody that's going to help you on defense, what your team really needs right now?
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of let some credibility to the Malik Beasley RFA situation, in the 14 games he played with Minnesota to end the season, he just put up 20 points a game on 47, 43, 75 shooting splits. Like, nothing shy of just an absolute killer on the outside, knocking down open shots left and right. Somebody who can create for himself and, has a great stroke out there. So, like, absolutely should be in consideration. In regards to the points in the paint against, I believe I brought up last week or maybe earlier this week. It's a long fucking week, man. The talks of the defense played by the Minnesota Timberwolves is actually similar in style to what the Bucks do. The big difference, obviously, is the Bucks have incredible help defense, and they're able to collapse in the paint. They want players to settle for the mid-range pull-up and use that help defense to collapse on people. The problem is that, the T-Wolves basically just don't have the right personnel to run that style of system. So teams just murk them in the mid-range. And points in the paint is just brutal because Cat's not exactly the best guy to slide and transition back and help out defensively. He can get some blocks here and there, but that's not really telling the whole story.
Well, so go ahead, finish your thought, because I was going to bring in something from Twitch chat.
Yeah, so like I totally get the idea that, they're looking for that piece who can help them, but I wouldn't necessarily worry too much about the defensive woes as far as like, hey, we've got these stars. How do we get, a guy who fits in? I want the best player. Like, I don't give a fuck about who's on my team. I want the best player in the draft every time I'm drafting. That's my mentality. I will work around who I believe is the best player on my team and try to figure out a system that can utilize all those guys. Again, that's a good problem to have, is when you're looking at a team being like, man, we have too many stars on this team. How are we going to make it work? Rather than, we don't have the right guys on this team to win games.
Well, and Philly Sean brings up, he says, T-Wolves could trade down to 4 or 5 and pick Obi Toppin. And my first thought with that is that would mean and we talked about this when we mentioned who should trade down in the draft. It's a cyclical thing where in order to trade down, somebody needs to trade up. And like at 4, yeah, they could trade to 4, but do the Bulls want to trade for 1? Do the Bulls feel like they need to trade to number 1 to get LaMelo Ball, to get Edwards, to get who they want? Or are they going to sit at 4? Are they going to trade back? Like the Cleveland Cavaliers too. Are they going to want to move from 5 to 1? If they don't want to move from 5 to 1, then yeah, the T-Wolves could move to 5, but you need that dance partner to make this tango work. And like,
yes, absolutely well put.
The only 2 teams that I feel without a doubt would be like ring, ring, calling the phone for that number 1 pick. But I don't know if their pick alone.
Just say the Knicks.
Well, the Pistons and the Knicks, 7 and 8. I feel like the Pistons could be a team that if they feel like they have a right package, moving up for LaMelo Ball could be a fucking huge win for them. But then the Knicks
Blake
also.
Griffin, I don't think they have enough contract worth on the T-Wolves to counter trying to get away Blake Griffin. So,
I will work out a Blake Griffin trade right now, Dave. Don't you worry your little mind.
It would have to be a 3-team deal because there's no way in hell the Minnesota Timberwolves have the contract room to get Blake Griffin. And also, why would they want Blake Griffin when the free agent class of the following year is as disgusting as it is? Although I don't know. I take that back. I don't remember Blake Griffin's following year of contract, if it's a player op, if it's a team op, whatever. Point being, the Pistons would absolutely love to have a point guard who has the capabilities of LaMelo Ball. That'd be a massive. Same thing I think rolls for the Knicks. He's the highest upside, highest downside in the entire draft. You're either going to get a guy who is able, and again, Alex, great call in Twitch chat. He has huge bust potential. I think he is definitely the highest guy when it comes to potential, but also the highest guy when it comes to not having a role in the NBA in the next 5 years. Like it just feels like someone with his ability to create for others and use his body and see creative passing lanes, know the offense. It's kind of hard for me to see him like out of the league, but more as a like, hey, he's just a bench kind of point guard. He's not the guy you can count who's a franchise player. I think at the end of the day, I've got him going towards that higher end of his potential, more towards the ceiling, because he can create for others. He can create for himself. He loves running an offense. I can't talk.
I got a quick question.
Sure.
How much money do you think, like per year, the average contract, do you think Malik Beasley will get in free agency?
This year's tough, but I would probably say somewhere between 15 and 21.
Okay.
Because if you want to just go dead center, Phil Sean said 17.
Because the thought that I had, and yet again, I can't work out a trade right now because like it would need to involve Beasley in a sign and trade. I would feel like, is there like the T-Wolves also had the 17th overall pick?
Yep.
And I wonder if for me, because like we mentioned Blake Griffin, like, oh, they could trade Blake Griffin. Yeah, that value is great. But like Blake Griffin in my mind doesn't help. If I'm trading for a big, like a veteran big, I want someone who can go next to Cat and be my defensive stopper. Like that's what I want. I don't really need somebody who's more offensive minded unless you're just like, we're just going to score 200 points and fucking blow everyone out. Like that could be a mindset you go with.
It's worked for other teams. We literally watched the Wizards this year, do that and say, Bradley Beal, we know you can defend. How about you just don't and use that effort on the offensive end? Yeah. And we'll see what happens. And it worked out pretty well. They got to the playoffs East, but still, they did actually pull off a ridiculous season doing that. And for the end of the season with the T-Wolves, they weren't completely healthy. They did have kind of mixed results on that whole like stupid levels of offense, non-existent levels of defense. I believe they won 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they only won 4 games out of like their last 14. So not great results, but I know Cat wasn't there for all those games either, so they were missing pieces. So it's very much a roster under construction. I wouldn't throw too much concern at that point. again, God.
Because like my other thought was like we talked about Rudy Gobert earlier this week about him maybe being floated out there. If the Jazz are going to make moves, if they feel like this core isn't the one to bring them in, like could a trade that the core pieces of it would be Rudy Gobert going to the T-Wolves, Beasley being signed and traded to the Jazz, but also the number 17. Like, that's the thing. You can't do a sign and trade with the 17th overall pick because free agency is going to be after the draft. So it's like there's a part
agreed upon, but not actually until.
Because like there was a part of me that's like, would the Jazz trade Gobert and to the T-Wolves if they were going to get the 17th pick? Like, could the T-Wolves move the 17th pick for a guy that is going to help their team to where we don't need to get this big need at number 1. We can just take whoever we want has the most potential, because we could then move the 17th pick for a veteran who might not be seen as a superstar, but can help our team with the value.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like the T-Wolves sounds dumb, but I don't know if they need to hit a superstar to compete.
No.
You know, their problem has always just been the willpower, the effort, the hustle on the court. And going back to the Jimmy Butler days, even, it's like these guys aren't giving 110% of their time towards the game, then they're not trying the hardest to win. And I think that was obviously the crux of the Jimmy Butler argument at the end of the day, oversimplified. But I think that if they do land a great piece in free agency, there's hope. But like we saw Andrew Wiggins, like that was a done deal draft night, but he couldn't be traded until obviously free agency had started because of the contract situation. So like, they can have a handshake agreement and be ready to move forward with it, but it could take time to officially go through.
Yeah. Do you see, I'll just ask this final thing, 2 things. First off, do you see the T-Wolves moving down and someone wanting to move up? And 2, T-Wolves, October 16th, who would you say the pick is right now if you had to pick it on September 4th?
I mean, am I picking for myself or am I picking for them? Am I putting myself in the mind of the T-Wolves?
So you're the GM, you're making the pick. What do you feel is the best move for the T-Wolves?
If I'm the GM, if I'm pretending to be their GM, I'm probably taking Anthony Edwards still. If I'm myself, I'm looking at Yaka Nkongwu or LaMelo Ball as my number 1 pick. I think both of those guys provide superior upside value and are worth the risk with your current roster makeup. But we'll find out in a couple of years.
Yeah, with me, I know I'm on the outside with this, and it all depends on how confident I am in matching Malik Beasley's RFA, because I think some team will throw a contract at him. I feel like my first option would be fielding a trade that puts me in a situation to get Wiseman or Big O, because I feel like if I bring Beasley back, that D'Lo, Beasley, and Cat can be enough of the 1, 2, 3 scoring options to have this team. And then I can have somebody, either Big O or Wiseman. Are they going to be perfect right away? No. But Wiseman, one of the things he's touted over is being a rim protector as he develops.
Yeah, I mean, you've heard the insulting comps of a souped up Whiteside, and it's like, get the out of here.
Yeah. But if I'm staying at number 1, I would take LaMelo, only because I feel like D'Lo and LaMelo could work together. But then at that point, I am seeking a sign and trade opportunity for Beasley.
I absolutely agree. You need to flip him for defensive wing. I mean, I was gonna say sliding back in the draft, or if you look at the draft, towards 17. I'd previously talked about, I think we agreed that Jalen Smith would be a great fit for them at 17 if he was still on the board. Rumors are that he's likely moved up since then. But if there's someone who has, size on the outside, say someone like a Patrick Williams falls, a Sadiq Bey falls, both of those guys would be excellent fits on that team to provide a wing defender, a 3 or a 4 defender on the outside to help them, because I haven't given up on Oh my God, why can't I remember the name of the draft pick they just took last year?
Culver, Okogie.
Jared Culver. Okogie's been there for 2 years.
I was just throwing out young players. See what sticks, Dave.
Yeah, Jared Culver. I haven't given up on him. I think his defense is still solid. It's just he is clearly got a lot of room to grow offensively, and with his ball handling and ability to run an offense, it's not where it was advertised at from his days in college. So I'm excited to look for bigger wings to help out my team. And I agree with you. If you do land one of those, you feel free to sign and trade Malik Beasley out of there.
Well, Dave, let's move from the draft. Let's go over to some playoff basketball. And we had 2 games go on yesterday. We're going to talk about both of them. And the first one is in the East. The Raptors pulling off an upset because I think most of us, especially after the first 2 games, have the Celtics favored in this series. And the Raptors, though, win on a last-second shot by OG Anunoby. But to me, the question is, like, is this just a bump in the road for the Celtics? And it's like, okay, now it's Celtics in 5. Or could this be the wake-up moment for the Raptors?
I want to believe the latter, but I think the former is true.
Okay.
I think this Raptors team got incredibly lucky at the right time, and the Celtics could not make a shot down the stretch. And they were relying on second chance dunks, dump offs that led to dunks. Like, it felt like they lost faith in their ability to shoot the ball, and they went entirely to slash dunkers, which was interesting because it obviously worked up to a point for them. But I really would have liked to see them run their offense a little differently. The Raptors, I mean, there is no taking away credit from what they did down the stretch. They had an incredible fight. Tenacity on that team has never been questioned. Toughness never going to be questioned. For me, I just don't know how they win a series out of this. I mean, it is just asking a lot out of them. They've gotten mixed performances so far out of multiple guys. We're going to talk about one of them later. It was pretty special, maybe even a wet boy. But I like what the Raptors can do. It definitely just you feel the void where they need someone like a Pascal Siakam to take that step, and he's just not there yet.
Well, and that was the thing coming into the playoffs, and I mentioned it in our predictions of, like, the Raptors before the playoffs started, and it's like, I remember they were interviewing Kyle Lowry, and they said, well, are you confident in Siakam taking that step? And he goes, doesn't matter. We're going to force him to. Like, we're going to make him. And it's like, you look at this game, and Siakam wasn't the one that stepped up. OG Anunoby hit the final shot. Kyle Lowry went off for 31 points. Fucking Fred VanVleet, points-wise, was like, you look at that box score and go, okay, that's a Fred VanVleet game, what we're used to seeing points-wise out of him. But the thing that I feel like is I'm with you. I want to believe the latter, but I'm going with the former, and it's only because of, like, what you said. I feel like this win is a great, celebrate the win. You fought hard. You won a back and forth game. But if it took this much work to get one, can you do it 3 more times? Like, it took the Celtics, I'm going to say ease, to win 2. Like, the Celtics won 2 before you won 1. Like, I don't want to disrespect the Raptors or Toronto or fear the North, but I feel like it took so much work just to win this one game that it's like, hey, we're at the top of this mountain. Then you look up and it's like, oh shit, we got more to go. Like, we're not done yet, kind of a thing.
Yeah. And I really wish that I didn't feel this way, but like the end of that game, it was clearly miscommunication on the Celtics defensively that led to that open look from Kyle Lowry to OG Anunoby at the 3-point line. Like, Jaylen Brown post-game interview dropped an F-bomb, not something that happens normally. So that was a fucking disgrace.
Yep.
It was terrible. I take responsibility for it. We shouldn't have lost that game. And it's basically because he, Tice, and J-Tay had a little bit of miscommunication as far as who was switching onto whom. and it turned out where OG just ended up sliding out baseline completely uncovered. So obviously, it feels like the Raptors. To me, it feels like the Raptors ended up winning this game because the Celtics lost it. If you know what I mean. Like,
well, and I think that just Brown alone, because the quote, I think the entire quote from what you mentioned speaks volumes. He did say that's fucking a disgrace at the end of the game. That's just terrible. And then he says, no way we should have lost that game. I take responsibility for that. Not just that play, but a lot of the plays before. And it happens. This is the NBA playoffs. This is the most important line to me. Either you let them gain momentum or you come back and be ready to play the next game. And that is why I see in Twitch chat, I see King E, Raptors in 7. I see Philly Sean. The Raptors can still win the series, but it's not likely Pascal needs to be a top 10 player like we've said he is. Like, I see in Twitch chat that the Raptors can win the series, but like, I see a line like that. The either you let them gain momentum or you come back and be ready to play. This is why the Celtics are so good. This is not so, like, yes, there's got to be something in you that thinks that way, but it's not just the players that instill that. It starts at the top. Brad Stevens, and this is why we talk, and I'm not saying like Nick Nurse is a bad coach, but like this Celtics team is so good mentally that is why I feel like they are going to bounce back in game 4. They'll win game 4. Game 5 will be an iffy one because the Raptors will be against the ropes. 3-1 is never a safe lead. But I feel like if this goes a distance, and I'm using air quotes, distance, it's Celtics in 6. But I see Celtics in 5.
I mean, of course they're good mentally. They had to deal with Kyrie Irving last year. Not common sense. No, I mean, like, dude, it's hard not to love Jaylen Brown after what he said. Jason Tatum had a disappointing offensive night, last night. And yet I hear from Jaylen Brown and I'm like, I like that guy more. I know Jason Tatum has the higher, like, the man can create. He's got the Kobe-esque moves out there. He's feeling himself. He's the, prototype wing of the future. But I kind of like Jaylen Brown a lot. That's the more I watch, the more I listen. I've become a huge Jaylen Brown fan. I was a Jaylen Brown doubter coming into the draft, and he's done nothing but prove me wrong time after time. He's busted his ass out there. He says all the right things. So I just shout out to him for being honest, being real, and take responsibility for shit that at the end of the day, not all of that loss is your fault. So but he said the right thing publicly.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't necessarily want to say like he's the leader of the team.
Kemba is still a bitch.
I don't want to say like he's the if de facto leader because, I mean, I think some people would see Tatum as it, but doesn't matter. Leaders, though, step up and say exactly what you did. Even if it's like there were other things that could have happened. No, I'm going to take onus on myself.
Yeah, that's what the quarterback does every time. Like,
basically,
you see quarterbacks after a tough loss, and they're like, "Oh, I could have done stuff better out there. It's not just the one play I saw. It's everything up to that point. I could have done better." Like, and at the end of the game, like half the time, like the quarterback's like, "Yeah, but you had a decent game. The defense just really fucking shit the bed." Or that wide receiver literally coughed the ball up.
I could have thrown it softer to him, so it didn't hit his hands as hard. It's on me. It's on me.
Like those are the professionals who you want to have on your front lines and who you respect and who are respected in the locker room by the guys. Yeah. So, yep.
The other game, though, Clippers completely trounced the Nuggets. 120 to 97. I think that, like, I was trying to figure out, okay, what should be the spin from us about this game? And, like, there's a part of me that's just like, oh, are the Clippers basically, like, have they unlocked what we thought they would be? Are they just going to be like, because Pat Bev he only played 12 minutes, but he did play in this game. Dave, is this more of what the Clippers could be or more what the Nuggets are?
Shit, the Clippers weren't even turning on all wheels, man. Like, it was a hell of a show out there by Kawhi Leonard. This was Kawhi sending a message. This is him being like, I'm the best player in the game right now. I just want everybody to acknowledge this. Luka Kid was great in that series, no doubt. But y'all aren't giving me enough credit for what I can do. And I loved seeing it out of Kawhi Leonard. Local scumbag Marukes Morris out there performed excellently. I really just look at this team and go, they've got so many ways to beat you. And after game one, I kind of laugh thinking about the interview post-game from the Nuggets-Jazz Game 7, where I forget who the anchor was on ESPN, was like, yeah, so what do you guys think? I know you just wrapped up, but game 1 starts Thursday. And Jamal was like, Thursday? We only get 1 day off for we start Thursday?
Yeah.
And it was just like, you could see on his face, they were exhausted, they were done, and there was I am impressed by the effort they put out there, but they probably should have just rolled out a lineup with like Bull, Michael Porter Jr., and like a bench unit to give the starters a break. Like they need time to breathe to come back to this series. So hopefully they take today off. They feel good going forward, and they're able to put up a better level of competition against the Clippers tomorrow. But man, it will not be easy.
Well, and I mean the other thing too of like, I know people are going to say, well, Ricky, the greats, they get past it. The Nuggets, like Jamal Murray's not on the level of Michael Jordan or LeBron James. But like when you go through a 7-game series that they just went through, like not only is it tiring because it's like, holy shit, I played 7 games and now I only get 1 off. It was emotionally draining, especially that Nuggets team that you're down 3-1. And then coming back game 5, 6, and then that 7 where you almost lose it on the layup. Conley has your future in his hands and he misses the shot off the back iron where Don Mitch thought it was in, but it wasn't.
Dude, I thought it was going to roll right in.
I thought so too. I thought it was totally in, but like
on the upside, I think the Mavs are underrated. that's what's coming out of this is like, shit, man, the Mavs team is really good in the West. Like, they're the 4th best team in the West, probably.
Yeah.
Like, it clearly goes like Clippers, Lakers, toss up whichever order you believe. Rockets, and even me, this is just me saying the general. I think the Rockets are going to scoop that up to the top. And then the Mavericks. I think that's how the West is run right now. I honestly think that regardless of position, regardless of tiers, like that's your top of the West. And
you get Luka and KP, one more guy to be a third offensive piece on that team. Like, I feel like in year 2 developing, basically, this was year 2 for Luka, but I mean year 2 as a playoff team. We're going to see a different Mavs team in the playoffs. Luka's first playoff series, KP's first playoff series. And it showed because a lot of people were like, when he got ejected from that, I think it was game 1, a lot of people were like, the best was, I think it was Stephen A. Was you got to understand who you are. You are the number 2 on your team getting into a fight with the number 5 on the other, not even the number 7 on the other team. Like, you are more important to your team than Marukes is to his team. Like,
I don't know about that now. The more I've seen, the more I believe Marukes is the number 2 on that team. Like, watch out, playoff P. Your ass is getting replaced.
You mean pandemic P?
Pandemic P.
The one thing I can't help but think about, Dave, the rest of this series is, do the Nuggets bounce back? Like, I know you're like, hey, I hope they take a rest day, they come back. Like, is this something where the Nuggets will bounce back in game 2? Because there's a part of me that's like, all right, Clippers in 4, move on. Like, this is going to be an easy series.
They will lose a game. It will still not be a tough series, but they will lose a game. And there's no way Murray and Jokic go down 0-4. Like, I can't see them getting swept. It would be very difficult for me to see that. I just think they have so much offensive talent, and they gave so much effort in round 1. I don't know if we're going to see, like, just they're completely exhausted and they can't do it anymore. So.
Philly Sean saying Jokic, KP, and Luka will run the league when Jokic joins in free agency.
I mean, there were already rumors about Vucci Man going over there. We'll see.
When's Jokic
contract up? I don't know, actually.
Here, I'm gonna look it up really quick before we go into Wet Boys. Let's see. Nikola Jokic. He is. Oh, by the way, trade NBA. updated their contracts. So now they list them as free agents if they're going to be a free agent.
God.
He's not a free agent until 2023.
Yeah,
he's got 3 more seasons with the Nuggets.
So Luka would have signed his extension at that point. Mm-hmm. So that's a slight timing issue where Luka would be signed and KP would be signed, and then this is why they have literally a year and a half to get another star on that team, because otherwise they're gonna have to pay them.
But Dave, let's move on. Let's go into, before we go into football and then the little itty bitty college news we've got today. Let's do a segment we love to do here on MVP Sports Live. These are our dampest of dudes, soggiest of shooters, moistest of men, and sometimes the mistiest of misses. These are our wet boys, where we give honors to the players who popped off the day before and sometimes the weekend before. How we do it: Dave gives a wet boy, I give a wet boy, and then the patrons at patreon.com/MVPvids, they also get to vote on their joint wet boy. Become a patron today and get to vote and have your voice heard of who should be a wet boy for MVP Sports Live. But Dave, I'm like, you take it away as I always do. Who's your wet boy September 4th, 2020?
I mean, we talked about him earlier today, just a couple minutes ago. My boy Kyle Lowry went out there, got the job done, had the I think he referred to him as the 7'12" motherfucker in his face in Taco Fall, trying to block his inbound pass. Still got the ball over to OG Anunoby. Wonderful job. 36 rebounds. That's a hell of a fucking game. What a card for Kyle Lowry. 31 points, 36 rebounds, 8 assists. I'm almost pretty sure that's a typo. Mm-hmm. I know he was very mobile out there, but that's
that is a typo. Yeah, not 36.
You're like,
not 36. Only 6 rebounds.
I was not concerned enough, and I was like, Ricky.
I looked up and I went, oh yeah, no, only 6 rebounds.
Yeah, 31, 6, and 8. He had a pair of steals as well. Like, he was everywhere you needed him to be. Great job by Lowry, being the true leader of this team. Someone who's only gotten better as he's gotten older. Happened to 2 guys so far in these playoffs. Mm-hmm. Goran Dragic also solid playoff performance for a guy who is on the wrong side of 30. So I like it. These guys need more time to develop, and when they do, here's the fruits of their labor. Kyle Lowry, been excellent for years now. Shout out. Hopefully the Raptors put up more of a fight as we go forward. I'd love to see this hit game 7. Mm-hmm. I don't think it will, though. I think we're probably looking at 5 or 6.
So for my wet boy, going away from basketball, Dave, 2 of the 3 wet boys are in the basketball realm. I am going to a realm I do not usually touch, but I saw this on Twitter and I had to go there. I'm going to the pond, Dave. I'm going to the NHL, and I got to go with Thatcher Demko. And the reason why I'm going with Thatcher Demko is because, so the Canucks and the Golden Knights play in their series. Canucks facing elimination, and Demko faces 48 shots, saves them all. Nothing goes in the net, Dave. The Canucks
up,
win.
48 down.
The Canucks win. Just to put that into perspective, Thatcher Demko joins Jacques Plante, Game 6 of the 1953 semifinals, and Steve Shields, Game 6 of the 1997 quarterfinals, as the 3rd rookie goaltender in NHL history to post a shutout that eventually helped his team force a Game 7. So, Canucks Golden Knights going into Game 7. One of the best photos that I saw from it, which is like the best meme ever now, is I can't find it now, but it was basically the Golden Knights, either their Twitter account or like their SB Nation account, tweeted something about Thatcher Demko before the game. And then it was just the next picture was the Michael Jordan, and I took that shit personally. Because he went off, Dave. Rookie goaltender, 48 saves, forces a Game 7. Gotta give the young goaltender love. Also, there was news from 2 days ago that the Canucks got fined by the league for sneaking in 2 strippers to the bubble for Demko. So, I mean, he's probably going to get more snuck in for him for that performance. But The patron wet boy, Dave.
Worth
going into the NBA again. It's just what you said. The best player in basketball right now. It's Kawhi Leonard. Like, Retro going to be happy. His boy getting the respect that it earns. And Kawhi Leonard popped off against the Nuggets. And I believe this is his first wet boy since we've started up MVP Sports Live.
No.
I think it is. It's totally his first. It is, because I had to download his PNG. This is his first wet boy.
He's a robot. He proved he's top 5 player in the NBA right now. When Kawhi wants to turn it on, he is just a monster out there, and he just takes over the game. Defensively, he's everywhere. Offensively, he kills it from the mid. He kills it from deep. It don't matter. Like, he is just the nickname wise. He's basically the cerebral assassin of the NBA. Like, he thinks it out. He figures out exactly where on the court things need to happen at, and he's there. He's always just there.
Yeah, I mean, he is the best. Like, I know people are going to throw LeBron's name out there, but like,
LeBron, Giannis.
If he fucking wins 2 titles back to back with 2 separate teams, like,
yeah, no, that's some Deion Sanders shit.
He's just mic dropping right there.
Yeah.
Like, and then what if then he goes to a 3rd team, wins another one, like, boom, shit doesn't happen. What if he
joins the Clippers, the Warriors in like a year? Just to be an asshole and be like...
At that point, would you blame him? Like, if he won a title with the Clippers, let's say he went back-to-back titles with the Clippers, then was like, fuck it, I'm going to go to Golden State. Would you blame him? Or would it be like, you know what? He can do whatever the fuck he wants. 3 in a row.
I just had respect for him at that point. Like, parodying the NFL and the NBA would be ruined. It doesn't even matter to him. He's like, well, this is my league now. I just want you to know that I can make anyone a winner. And that's pretty cool because nobody else in the NBA can do that.
So let's move on, Dave. We're talking about the NFL. And today, Stephen A. Smith had some comments about the NFL, mainly 2 days
in a row in Stephen A. Smith news.
Stephen A. Smith. Well, this is something I think you can agree on. I
don't know about that.
He basically made comments about how the NFL season will not finish this year.
Oh.
And I wanted to ask you, will the NFL season finish its 2020 season? He does not think so. He thinks that this season is not going to finish. What are your thoughts?
Define finish. Are we saying, all 16 games in the regular season will be played for every team and a full standard playoff run will happen in a timely manner?
Yes.
Is that the expectation? Because I've already said that that's not happening. I'm on record that won't happen. I think there will be delays. I think teams will have to take additional bye weeks. I think that there will be a whole lot of extra... Excuse me, burping. That's that burrito kicking back already. I think the teams will have to take additional time because of COVID tests that could come back positive. Anytime teams have to travel, I'm concerned. It's just additional risk and additional chances. And NFL teams are much larger than MLB teams who have already struggled to keep on their ridiculous pace. So thankfully, the NFL has the additional time booked at the stadium in Tampa Bay for said Super Bowl. It's not, like they have to hit that date exactly. I think they booked the following couple of weekends as optional dates. So, no, the season won't finish exactly how they want it to. It won't be a picture perfect, exactly how you wrote up. But I think they will have an end to the NFL season at some point.
So, the one thing I will say is I am a man who admits when he is wrong.
Oh.
And I am wrong, Dave.
Were you?
Stephen A. Smith is not on your side.
Oh.
Stephen A. Smith, I believe, is on the other side. I totally thought that Stephen A. Smith was like a smart individual. I'm correcting myself. Yeah. So the headline of the video is the NFL will finish their season. You can book it. I've got the exact quote here. He said, I think it's unlikely the NFL has operated their business as usual. We know that they've had the NFL draft, Marcus virtually. We get that. We understand they canceled the preseason. We get that. Outside of that, have we noticed any different in the way the NFL does business in terms of the draft, in terms of free agency, in terms of things of that nature? The NFL ain't playing. Stephen A. Smith says. They're going to go about their business, and it's going to take government intervention to stop them. They're not thinking about it. Matter of fact, some of them are even thinking about having fans. I said it before. I'm saying it again. Them owners don't give a damn. They're going to have this season. You can book it, he said on the show. So Stephen A. not agreeing, I don't think. But it's more of like and I feel like college football is in this also, of...
SEC and the ACC for sure.
Well, yeah, the most of college football. 3 of the 5 power conferences. The Power Fives are in this. And we're going to get to something Dabo said after this. But, like, I don't think Stephen A. Smith is wrong. Like, am I optimistic of an NFL season finishing? No. I'm shocked the NBA and NHL have gone on without problems. I'll be completely honest.
Bubble.
No, I get it. But like even when the bubble was tossed out there, yep. I was not optimistic about the bubble.
Really?
Like I was not. I was like because my reasoning coming in was all it takes is one person to fuck up that bubble. Now the execution, looking back, has been amazing. I'm giving the NBA, I'm giving the NFL credit where credit is due. I had a worry. They have showed me the worry should not have been worried about because, like you said, the magic word is bubble.
Yeah, I mean, the worst case scenario was our boy going out to get some wings at a strip club. Right? Yeah. That's about it. And picking up some Postmates from outside the front door.
Yeah.
And then T-Rob did kind of leak the fact that on the other side of said fishing lake, there is another hotel that they happen to have people who stay at. It would be very easy to get people back and forth across without attention gained. Yeah. Not to be that snitch kind of guy, but it does.
Well, he did say it on Pat McAfee, so like
he did say it. It did sound like there might be going on.
Like so far, I got to give the NBA credit because of basically
been continually running. You have to give them credit.
Well, and I like one of the things I like that the NBA has done is like so. Let's say you and I, the NBA called us up and said, "Guys, we want you guys to come down and cover the finals. Like we're giving you press passes." What we would have to do, Dave, is basically get down there. We'd be in our hotel rooms and we'd quarantine for the 2 weeks, I think it is. Like you
10 days.
Or 10 days. Close enough. You quarantine for 10 days. That is awesome. Like you need that. The NFL though, I have a fear it's going to be like baseball, where baseball probably should have been stopped at some point. Like, I feel like it's just been like, we're just going to keep going, and like with football, I think it's going to be worse than baseball.
Because we have rosters that are 4 times the size in the NFL.
Physical contact.
And physical contact.
Like baseball, you necessarily like, you could wear one of the windshields.
Positional players don't stand within 6 feet of each other. Yeah.
Like, the only difference is like, if like I'm on first and then like I'm the first baseman, staying on first, but like most position players I've seen, some even wear the mask while they're at bat, while they're running around, like, which blows my mind. It's like if someone can wear that while running around a baseball field, you can wear one in a grocery store. Just saying.
Well,
just saying.
I mean, there have been those videos that are very condescending, but very correct in the fact that people who complain about wearing a mask in real life for about 45 minutes to go shopping are just a bunch of. Shouldn't say that word.
But the NFL, I feel like the part where Stephen A. Smith is right is the owners don't give a damn. Whatever's going to make them their money. It's basically going to be like, oh, your team is sick. Don't care. Get new players in.
You get new players, or we'll reschedule later this season. We'll take next up. You know, maybe somebody's got a bye week on our schedule. Maybe we can just make things happen. I agree. It's a business, and they are going to close their eyes, plug their ears, start screaming, and just try to move forward because that's what's best for business.
And it's funny that Stephen A. Smith says, oh, it's going to take government intervention because guess what, Dave? Unless it's at a state level, there's going to be no government intervention. The reason being, and this is the only bit of politics that I'm going to drag into this show, is the idiocracy. The idiocracy that I've heard.
That movie.
That apparently... Dave, we're headed there.
It hurts
We're headed
to look
there.
at it now. Like, I remember watching that and being like, I know the message they're trying to send, but this is so unrealistic. And now I'm like,
now it's like,
fuck, where's Camacho at? Like, he would be an upgrade.
people were saying that Terry Cruz's character would have been Kanye if he got elected. Yeah. But the thing that I heard, and I'm like, really? It doesn't shock me, but it's just like really is apparently the reason why Trump wants football to happen, especially at the college level, is he feels like his voter fan base will get mad if football doesn't happen, and that's how they'll blame him for COVID, is if COVID ruins their football season.
Yeah,
and it's like, how stupid are you? Not him, just like if...
That's fine. That's the news. That's expected to happen, apparently. We're doing a good job here, people. But if my football in the SEC doesn't happen, then we have a fucking problem here. Like that's what it is. He's just pandering to his base, so he's not going to get involved, which is fine. It's on the SEC group decision makers who decided that student lives don't matter. Mm-hmm. And now we're seeing it on college campuses where thousands of people are coming up testing positive for COVID-19, and they're having parties. And guess what? College kids don't give a shit because they're college kids. Like, who expected differently to happen there? Mm-hmm. And now it's like you hear Fauci talking about, well, they should keep them on campus. Like, if you send them back, you're just going to spread this out worse.
Yeah.
I would rather have college towns just be a nest for COVID than to re-spread people back out from colleges if they send people home.
Basically just build little walls around the college town. Like, it's like, if you have COVID, don't leave.
College towns are kind of like self-run. You do kind of understand that. So,
yeah.
I mean, U of I, they're doing like thousands of tests a day of the cheek swab, saliva samples, and like that's great and all, but you're still going to have a ton of people have COVID.
Yeah.
You just can't send everybody home now because then you have multiple states being potentially infected from one location. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a whole bigger problem. So it's like, well, we've made the worst possible decision, and we have to keep steering into it so it doesn't get worse.
So let's move into some football news that is, it's with the college football COVID stuff.
Yep.
But it's a little bit of like actual football.
Oh.
And so basically Dabo Swinney, this is from David Hale at ESPN. Yep. Dabo Swinney said Thursday that he'd be thrilled to see the Big Ten and Pac-12 get back on the field sooner rather than later, an option that seems to have some traction in recent days. But the Clemson coach doesn't want to see the college football playoff wait for those leagues to play catch-up. The Pac-12 announced a new testing partnership Thursday, with Commissioner Larry Scott saying that a planning group will look at numerous models of restarting football, including before the current January 1st set date. Earlier this week, there were rumblings of a possible November start for the Big Ten after President Donald Trump intervened and offered assistance with testing. Swinney said, "That's all good progress. I'd love for them to play, and testing is a great opportunity for everyone, for sure," he said. But he suggested that any plans to alter the current playoff model to account for a late start in some conferences is a tough sell. "We're ready to roll," Swinney said. "That would be something I wouldn't be in favor of. It'd be hard to start in November and then push the season into February." Clemson is set to open its 11-game season on September 12th against Wake Forest. Dave, what are your thoughts with all that?
Honestly, I'm...
Let's say the Pac-12 and the Big Ten do their due diligence. They have testing, and they're like, okay, we can do it safely. If they go, we're going to start in November, should the SEC, ACC, and Big 12 be forced to wait? Or should it be, nope, you guys missed your mark, we're going to go with our season, and the playoff is just going to be us three?
I mean, at the end of the day, do you care about the quality games? Do you just want to make your money? Like, the answer is they just want to make their money. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the SEC is going to do what's best for the SEC.
Yeah.
And we might see some sort of, like, one-off year for the Pac versus the Big Ten, and we'll get some unique matchups that, you know, hey,
yeah,
maybe we'll get something special.
To me, the quote, reading it, doesn't land well, especially...
I feel exhausted at this point of, like, This is the level we're at.
This is
gymnastics.
You know how I feel with this?
Yep.
The same Soapy feels like with Epic versus Apple. Like, that's how I feel with this. Because it's like, it is so much like one side of, there's no, like for example, this is nothing to do with sports, but I'm going to say it anyways. I watched a video of like, it was basically a video about how Trump has divided Kenosha. And there was a African-American lady. She was young, on top of a cooler, speaking into a microphone. She had a MAGA hat on, so like you could tell conservative. And she's talking to the pro-Trump crowd. She goes, "Okay, do you agree that all lives matter?" And the whole crowd is like, "Yes, all lives matter. Of course they do. So we agree that all lives matter." The crowd is like, "Yes, all lives matter." She points to the protesters and goes, "So their lives matter." And everyone's like, "Yes, their lives matter." And she goes, "Then how does one man have us divided?" And right then they're like, "Oh no, you're wrong." It's like, so we just agreed that all lives do matter, that the Black Lives Matter is right, that yes, Black Lives Matter. But as soon as you say Trump's dividing us, no, that's bad, that's wrong. It's like, you're a fucking idiot. That's what you are. You're a fucking idiot. And I'm done with it, Dave. I'm like right here. See how close my fingers are together? I'm right there.
See how close? Right, see how close? It's right there. It's America's in a really bad state, and
so
for a show that's about sports, it's never been more of a partisan topic. I've never seen sports, like politics has always been alongside of sports. Don't get me wrong. I know that that's always been a thing. If you look back in time, there's always been that, but I've never seen it play more of a role in sports than today. And I've never seen people so stuck to their side with blinders on, refusing to acknowledge actual facts of things that are actually happening. I don't know. I'm just, tired. I'm at a loss for how people can be this close-minded. And I pray to God for the votes to happen, and we'll see how our country deals with said voting in November.
Last thing I'm going to slip in here, and this is just a quick question. AP got cut today by Washington.
Yeah, real fucking shame.
Like, my question is, of course, he came out and said he's going to try to pursue another job. Is there a team that signs him?
Yes, but not right away. I think he would be an interesting pickup for a couple teams. AP is one of those guys who he's a freak of nature as far as his athleticism and his ability to bounce back. I think he's got some years off. Look, if Frank Gore can still drop $1,000 on a season, like, why can't AP? That's my question. Is I think also, by the way, side note, Frank Gore's kid played in the college game.
Did he?
Yeah, he dropped his rookie freshman debut.
Nice.
I don't know how he did. I just know that it happened yesterday.
Okay.
So shout out to Frank Gore Jr.
Because he's at one of the smaller schools, right?
Yeah.
He's not a Power 5.
He's not a Power 5. He's a smaller school. He's a smaller guy, but I know he was a good prospect or an interesting one. So,
I'm gonna say something a little controversial, and I only say controversial because of how his time ended.
No.
What?
Are you gonna say he should retire?
No, I'm gonna say the Vikings should sign him. Dalvin Cook, injury history. As a backup running back to Dalvin Cook, like, I feel like he could be a serviceable running back if Cook gets injured, and a good enough running back to take a little bit of a load off of Dalvin Cook. Plus, if this is the beginning of the end for AP, why not come back to where it all started? Kind of like
ended there.
It ended with the whole I kind of want to say like child beating or child punishing, where he
break off a switch, right?
Yeah, basically like that was the end of him with the Vikings. Like, I know
Randy Moss. I mean,
like, I know people have their opinions of athletes when stuff happens, but like there's a part of me that I feel like we've moved past that with Adrian Peterson. And he's moved past it himself to where, like, why not have him return home, basically? I know home would technically be Dallas, but why not return home to where it all started?
Let the rich get richer is what I say. You know, I look at a team like the Saints, they could use a running back. I look at a team like the Chiefs, absolutely could use a running back. You know, why not go to a team where you're going to have a chance to compete for a championship? If Leonard Fournette had not just signed with the Bucs, they're like, well,
the Bucs would get him. Yeah. Tom Brady's like, damn it, I would have taken him over Leonard Fournette. But no, Fournette's going to be good. AP Saints 2.0. He was on the Saints, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was on the Saints. I forgot about that. But that's going to do it for MVP Sports Live today, Dave. Thank you guys for checking out the show. Make sure to join the Discord, link down below, or !Twitch, or !Discord in the Twitch chat. Patreon.com/MVPvids is how you help support the channel. Thank you to our Patreon sponsors, Pat, and Philly Sean. And last but not least, we do the show Monday through Friday live on twitch.tv/MVPvids. But you can also catch us on YouTube, MVP Sports. Dave and I will be back on Monday for another week of MVP Sports Live. I hope you guys have a nice weekend, kind of relax, enjoy the Labor Day weekend and festivities. But as always, have a good day, everybody.